It's Friday and it's marathon money. And you guys already know this is Kenny Coins. And I'm here with Brent Lucas. Um, his ticker symbol of his company is COCH. Everybody go take a look, get informed, have that up while you're watching this video to know about the company. They're a hearing aid. I wouldn't say a hearing aid,
Hearing implant.
hearing
Yeah,
implant company. It's not a hearing aid company. It's a hearing implant company. And Brent been with the company for over 15 years. Am I correct?
correct. Yeah, no, I've been here in one form or another since my father first invested in the company when it was just started in 1995. So I've been around the company that whole time, sort of seeing its evolution. And then I would say that I started working here in 2007 as an intern, became the lawyer, went into the field for sales, business development, and then became the CEO in 2015.
Wow. So you're actually embedded in this company by sweat and blood.
Yeah.
I always say, I think that's a really great thing, just from a standpoint as a investor, to know that the person that's making the decision and leading the company and leading his team has done almost every aspect of every job in the company.
Yeah, no, and I would say for me, it's a very personal story. So not only do I believe in the mission of the company to bring these, breakthrough hearing implants to millions of people's lives, hopefully, eventually. It's also a story of investing, family putting money, angel investors putting money into a company and seeing that through. So this is very much a personal story to me. My financial future is tied to this company. So I hope that gives investors a feeling of security, knowing that I'm fighting for the same thing that they are when they put their hard-earned money behind this.
It does definitely does feel good when you hear that from, definitely from some company you're invested in. Now, you were out in the field before you became CEO, and you're probably leading from that type of mindset. But I want to know, it's like, what are you leading kind of a sales focus? Because I know you guys only implemented it into like 1,000 people. So
Mhm.
is the sales focus more on raising more money for the company? Is that where you guys sales focus are, or are you guys going to start shifting over to actually trying to get the product on shelf? Because I know you guys got some approvals. Am I right?
Yeah, so I'll take a couple of minutes to kind of tell you about the two products. So we have one product is called the Esteem. That's FDA approved already, and like you said, has been implanted in 1,000 patients. Unfortunately for that product, which got FDA approval in 2010, can't remember if I mentioned that already. Um, it was not covered by insurance. So a medical device not covered by insurance doesn't do very well. So the commercial traction of that product started to stall out very quickly after the initial wave of early adopters kind of set in. Um, and so in 2015, we decided to pivot to a cochlear implant, which would be covered by insurance. A cochlear implant is different it's for a different type of hearing loss. So it's for more progressed hearing loss. So profoundly hard of hearing is how we would talk about it, or deaf is sort of how the common parlance would be. So right now, I would say the focus of the company right now is getting that product, the Acclaim, through FDA trials. And then once we're through FDA trials, which I hope to be done in 2027, towards the end of 2027, beginning of 2028, that we would then commercialize that product. That product having insurance reimbursement already, because cochlear implants are already covered, and that's already an accepted market. So this is a market that right now does about over $1 billion in revenue a year for the three manufacturers on really a limited number of implants. Only about 50,000 implants sort of make up that number. So it gives you an idea that when Envoy Medical comes forward with this breakthrough technology, we really should start stealing the market share from our existing competitors, which is Cochlear Corporation, based in Australia, Advanced Bionics, and Medel, And if you look at Cochlear Corporation's market cap, for example, they're about $14 billion market cap based on Australia. Their ticker is COH on the ASX. When you look at them, you can see that if we're able to just capture a little bit of the market, we really should have a nice return for our investors. We're also working on insurance reimbursement for that first product, so for the Esteem. So I have not given up on that. That's a wonderful product, but it needs insurance reimbursement to be a commercially viable product. So we are working on that. We have two bills. We have a bill in the House and a bill in the Senate that will hopefully help us get that covered. And then we just got CPT codes that will become effective in July of next year. So that product, even though we pivoted away from it in 2015, we've always been working on that insurance reimbursement, and I think we have a chance to get back to that in the near future.
Well, having that other alternative with that other product that is covered by insurance, like right now, and you're saying that that won't be on the shelf until 2027. Am I correct? Why should investors kind of stick with that until 2027? Is there anything in the road during that time frame that we'll be able to see to show a vote of confidence that let's stick together, like we're going to be here and ride this wave?
Yeah, I would say that if you look at you look at the value of our company today, I think we're trading just over $2 today. The market cap right now is around 45 million, I believe. If you look at that, I think that, I'm sure all CEOs would say this, but I think we're undervalued significantly. And I think part of that is because people don't yet know the story. So while the revenue won't really be able to ramp up until 2027 or 2028, whenever we get approval, there's a lot of catalysts that will happen between now and then. So starting the trial, enrolling the first patients, finishing enrollment, there'll be some ways of us to start telling folks how the trial is going. So a lot of that will start happening over the next 2 years. So I think the folks that are willing to put some money in now and ride it, as you said, kind of ride it out with us for the next couple of years, could be in a much better place than somebody that's waiting until it's a known entity. Because once it's known that it works, once it's known that it's FDA approved, that should have a significant impact on the valuation. So I guess it's if you're an investor, I guess you have to think about, do I want to put a little bit now and in hopes of where it'll be in 5 years and kind of forget about it, or do I want to wait 5 years and reassess? And I'm kind of the mindset, I'd rather put some chips on the table now.
The way I'm taking this, or everything you're saying, I agree. Put some chips in, wait 5 years. But I'm also seeing that I'm taking a bet on you.
Yeah.
So my next question is going to be is like, what's kind of your mindset on leading this thing forward? Like leading your team forward. What strategies are you using to get your company better, or getting yourself better to better lead this company to say where you want to see it in the next 3 years or the next 2, because that's when really the first product should be coming out?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think that is true. I mean, I used to, when I first started out in this industry, and we would go out raising money for the private company. And now that I'm going out as a public company CEO, doing investor presentations, doing road shows, things, non-deal road shows, things like that, I continue to hear, we're not investing necessarily always in the product or the company. We're investing in the management team. We're investing in the people at the company. And that's why I brought up my personal connection to the company in the beginning. I mean, this is not a resume stop for me. This is something where I plan to be here until I retire. This is a company that I am positioning to become I want it to be the largest hearing implant company in the world by the time I'm done with it. And to be able to do that, we need to execute, but we also need to have this 20-mile march. So I always refer to the 20-mile march. If you're familiar with the story of the first explorers that got to the South Pole. And there were two teams. One team would sort of go out and go crazy whenever they could. On a nice day, they'd try to go 100 miles. On a bad day, they wouldn't do it all. But the successful team was the team that did the 20-mile march every single day. And so that's how I try to lead the company, is we need to do the things that we're doing every single day in and day out, bad days and good days. And that's really what we're focused on. And you'll hear our CFO sometimes, David Wells. He'll sometimes refer to it as chop wood and carry water, right? We're doing or you might hear somebody call it blocking and tackling. We're doing the basics every single day, and if you do that, it will add up and compound into to the company that we want it to be.
Man, I really like that. I think that analogy was perfect. Like the 20 miles a day is perfect analogy because, and I also like the different avenue you're taking to make this company successful by getting a bill passed and getting into law, trying to get the insurances to see the value in this. And you're just tackling multiple different ways, but also adding another product to the line that is insured to make sure your company has a somewhat of a foundation that it can bounce off. So when that stuff does get passed, it's already generating revenue and then you guys already have the marketing power. So that's how I'm seeing it. And I don't know if that's correct coming from the standpoint of an outsider.
I think that's correct. The two products have very, very similar but different realities, right? So our investigational product, or the Acclaim, that's our cochlear implant. It's in trials right now, and obviously there's it has to go through that process to become commercial. But once it is commercial, there are already existing insurance codes for cochlear implants. So and it's an accepted market, right? So this cochlear implants have been out there for 30 or 40 years already. There's people putting these in every single day. There's patients looking for these. So we won't have to create a new segment. The Esteem, the first product, was so unique and so different that we did need to invest in creating the market segment. And frankly, we didn't do a great job at it. And so I've taken those lessons learned and applied them to what we will do with the Acclaim, the cochlear implant. And then so we have 1,000 Esteem patients. I've talked to enough of them. I've talked to the surgeons and audiologists who work with them. And when you have that personal interaction, you realize this product is amazing. This product changes people's lives. And once you hear that, you can't unring that bell. At least I can't unring that bell. So I have to see this through because I just know it can make a huge difference in people's lives. And the more people I talk to in Congress and the more people I talk to at CMS, the more we're able to educate people on why this is important. And I think we're going to be successful there. But again, I mean, it's always an unknown with Congress, always an unknown with the government. But if there's a successful change there, that could be quite a moment for us.
Definitely. I think that's amazing what you're trying to do, and I think that you are in a space that is extremely needable space that I would say, like, I know when I was researching it, about 40 million to 50 million people or can't hear at all or has below 30% hearing.
So the way I describe it is there's about 40 to 50 million people who have disabling hearing loss in the United States. And how I talk about disabling hearing loss is hearing loss that is noticeable enough that it's impacting your life, right? So we all have some form of hearing loss, but most of us don't notice it in a conversation. When it starts to impact your ability to communicate with people around you, that's kind of when you start to notice it. So about 40 to 50 million people have disabling hearing loss. For people that are profoundly hard of hearing, who are on the severe to profound side of the scale, that's about 4 to 5 million people. So those are cochlear implant candidates. Now, interestingly, of those 4 to 5 million people, less than 5% have gotten a cochlear implant over the last 40 years. So here's a technology, cochlear implants, that work well. It's been proven to work well. It's been proven to improve people's hearing and quality of life. But only 5% of the people that could benefit from it have gotten one. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? And we think, our big sort of investment thesis is we think we have a better solution, which is a traditional cochlear implant has a very large external component that it has a magnet under your skull and a magnet on the outside, and then a big thing that hangs off the side of your ear. Our device uses the ear to pick up sound. So our device uses a sensor that sits in the middle ear, and it actually uses your ear to pick up the sound. So you will have nothing external. And so we think there are people on the sidelines who have just not addressed their profound hearing loss because they don't want to wear the traditional cochlear implant. And we think we've created a solution for them to get the technology in a way that's better suited for their life. So that's why I'm very bullish on our opportunity once we get going.
No, I'm already extremely bullish on your company. But I was watching a video in which you were on, and you said you guys were kind of like the only people in this space for the product that is kind of the newest to the market, that there is no vertical for it. I want you to elaborate on that.
So what I may have been talking about is we are the only ones that have the technology to use the ear to pick up sound. So there are other hearing implant companies and there are other cochlear implant companies, but they have the external, and they use a subdermal microphone, which means they put a microphone underneath the skin. So you literally have a microphone underneath your skin, and that's sort of their version of an implanted microphone.
And the vibration is picked up by the eardrums. Am I correct?
For ours.
For yours. And you guys have that patent.
Yes, we have a variety of patents around our sensor technology, and also we have a variety of patents around the idea of a fully implanted cochlear implant. So we know that once we come to the market, there will be people trying to move in this direction. So we've patented around not only the sensor that is our version of the microphone, but also on the implanted battery and the battery pack and how we've broken the system down. So I think from an IP standpoint, we're in a very good place. But I would also tell you that, for those people who aren't very familiar with Class 3 medical devices, which is what our devices are, the regulatory barrier to entry is very high. So for us, going through the regulatory process and then eventually getting an approval would be almost as beneficial as patent protection, right? Because for somebody else to come along, they're going to have to spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to catch up to us quickly. So once we are through the gate, we have a really great opportunity. Obviously, there's bigger companies that could spend more money and catch up to us, but they're going to have to spend a lot, and there's a lot of uncertainty for them. So the regulatory approval process is a big pain to go through. It's a very, very long process, but once you're through that, you have quite a good opportunity. A company I like to talk about a lot is Inspire Medical. Their ticker is INSP. They make sleep apnea devices. And they were the first ones to have a fully implanted sleep apnea device. And they came to market and kind of a thud. Nobody really thought it was that great, but then they started just ramping revenue. And now literally everybody is trying to come after their market because they're so successful, but it takes so long to do it because you're a medical device. So they have like a 10-year head start on everybody. And although we won't be in that exact situation because there are already cochlear implants out there, we will have a very unique start with using the ear to pick up sound because nobody else has that technology yet.
So I want to go back to like growth with everything you said. And I don't know if this is accurate, but you guys had like a $50 million funding initiative. Is that correct?
No. So what we recently, you mean recently? Recently we filed an S3 or shelf filing.
Yeah.
Which is very, I'll give you a little history on kind of our public company journey so far. We were a SPAC. So we were a private company and then went public via SPAC. That happened in September of 2023. So we're a year out from it. And we got treated just like SPACs get treated. So we went through the business combination, and then the stock went, below $1 for no reason other than we were a SPAC, and SPACs just get beat up. And we've been, the trend line from November of last year to where we are now is headed in the positive direction. Since that time, it's been very important to us not to raise money in very transactional ways. So one of the things that you and your listeners are probably aware of is a lot of micro cap or small cap companies get their back against the wall, and sometimes they take very highly transactional, highly dilutive funding. But as I've mentioned, we're not interested in sort of doing the regular thing because this is very personal to me. My family has a lot of shares. I have a lot of shares. I'm not gonna raise my hand and volunteer to take some highly dilutive funding just to do it. So we've been able to work with our largest shareholder, a man by the name of Glenn Taylor, who, by the way, we're a Minnesota company. We're based in Minnesota, do all our manufacturing here. Glenn owns the Minnesota Timberwolves, and or at least for now owns the Minnesota Timberwolves, and is the richest guy in the state. So we have a very positive champion of the company. And so he gave us two debt instruments over the last year, each for $10 million. That was, it's debt on very simple terms, no convertibility, built into the agreement, very fair interest rate with actually deferred interest for this for several years. Because again, he owns a huge chunk of the company and did not want to see us feel like we had our backs against the wall and had to take highly dilutive funding. So we've done that. And then, in September, a year away from the SPAC, you're allowed to file an S3 filing. So we filed a shelf. And we have not yet used that. But you have those things there because if something very positive happens and there's an opportunity to raise money on good news, or there's an opportunity to raise money on a large uptick, we wanted to be able to do that. And things like ATMs or other at the market type financings really allow having the tools to take advantage of a situation is a good thing. And so that's why we put that there.
That's really good. That's really good. So I know I heard some of your plans for 2025, but what is kind of like the things you want to see get accomplished next year, like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? And so we can look out for those things. And as investors, we can say, okay, these things are getting accomplished. We're definitely going to stick around. We're definitely going to hold this stock and we're going to buy more. So give us your plan for that.
Happy to. So we got IDE approval, which stands for Investigational Device Exemption approval. So that's the FDA basically saying, we approve you starting a new study. So that happened October 1st. And I encourage people who don't know much about Envoy to go through our sort of press releases for the last couple of months as we talk a little bit more about, the company and the products and that sort of thing. But so we got approval to start that trial. That trial, we will hopefully start our implants in Q1. So you would probably see a press release in Q1 from us if it's successful in actually making this happen, where we would say, we did our first implant. Then you'll see us implant 10 patients in what's called the first stage of our clinical trial. We'll do 10 patients. We'll report to the FDA on how those first 10 went, and then they'll allow us to open it up to a larger group. So throughout the course of next year, you're going to sort of see a variety of those types of milestones happening. On the Acclaim, that's the cochlear implant product. On the Esteem side of things, January 1st, the CPT codes that we received will get published. July 1st, they become effective. So you will hopefully see us be able to get some insurance coverage for that first product next year and increase revenues. Now, it'll probably be a nominal increase of revenues, I will admit, for those products, because this is a new process of getting CPT codes for these types of devices. But the big milestones that you're going to see us talk about that clinical trial, and then hopefully good news related to the Esteem and insurance reimbursement, and that would be a big deal.
So I see that pretty much you're going to have all the pieces in place, and then those are the things we're going to be looking out for. I just got, before we kind of come close to an end, I really want to talk about this bill, because if it does get passed, it's going to be a really big, huge milestone for the company. And I think what is the what's the bill's name called?
So there's two versions of the bill. One is in the House and one is in the Senate, because that's, you got to have one in each house. And it's called the Hearing Device Coverage Clarification Act. And it relates to the fact that our problem with our first product, the Esteem, is that CMS calls it a hearing aid, which it is not a hearing aid, but CMS calls it a hearing aid. And because they call it a hearing aid, it's not a coverable benefit, because Medicare doesn't cover hearing, vision, and dental right now. So because they call us a hearing aid, it's not covered. So this bill seeks to basically tell CMS, hey, this type of product is not a hearing aid. Do not treat it like a hearing aid. It should be treated like other hearing prosthetics, like cochlear implants and bone-anchored devices. So we're hopeful that could move through. If it doesn't move through by the end of this Congress, we will have it reintroduced next year and try again. There's also a possibility that CMS may just change its mind and may just do this administratively. So we continue to engage with CMS. We continue to try to change their minds. But I agree, if there's a change in CMS's position, or if there's more, private insurance companies that start to cover it, that could be a big deal, because the Esteem is already FDA approved. It's already on the shelf. We could start moving that product if it got insurance coverage. So it's a very unique, very interesting opportunity should it present itself.
Brent, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Like, you coming on here and talk and getting to learn about the company. I'm really impressed on like the milestones you guys already covered, and the stuff the avenues you guys are taking to actually better the world and help people. This is actually truly a company that actually is intentions to make people's lives better. But besides that, man, what's one thing you want to tell retail investors that you want them to know about your company?
Everybody knows somebody with hearing loss. And once this company becomes more well known, it'll become a story stock where people can understand the story behind it. Like you said, we're out to help people live better lives. And there's something to be said for that. I mean, this is a stock, this is a company that people can take part of and root for, because you're probably going to know somebody eventually with significant hearing loss. And how cool would it be to have been contributing to that company's success, to be able to help your loved one. So I think this is a company that has a very good story behind it, I believe, and we're going to do our best to steward this company forward in the best way possible, so that 10 years from now, everybody knows what Envoy Medical is about, and all those people that took a chance on us now will be rewarded handsomely, hopefully. Knock on wood, right?
Oh, definitely. I think companies like yours who are trying to make a change in the world for the better always need that support and rally behind to make that happen. And people that do that early on deserve to be rewarded for that. So, Brent, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kenny.
Man, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and peace.
All right, take care.